This video explains how to draw a box plot based on pre-computed values using the R programming language. So without too much talk, let's dive into the R code. So as a first step for this tutorial, we need to assume that we have already pre-computed some box plot values. And those values that we are defining as pre-computed values are shown in lines 2 to 6. So in these lines, we are defining a value for the lower whisker, for the first quartile, for the median, for the third quartile, and for the upper whisker. So after running these lines of code, we have created 5 new data objects which contain these pre-computed values. Now in the next step, we need to create a data set which contains a list based on all these values. So after running lines 8 to 14 of the code, this list object is created. And you can see the structure of this list by running line 15 of the code. And then you can see at the bottom in the RStudio console that we have created 2 list elements. The first list element is called stats and contains our values. And the second list element is a sample size based on which our box plot was computed. Now in the next step, we can apply the bxp function, as you can see in line 17 of the code. And within this function, we simply need to specify our base data that we have created before. So after running line 17 of the code, a new box plot graphic is appearing at the bottom right. And as you can see, the values of this box plot, so the whiskers, the median, and the first and third quartiles are corresponding to our pre-computed values. So in this first example, I have explained how to create a base R box plot based on pre-computed values. However, it's also possible to use the ggplot2 package for this task, and this is what I want to show you in the next step of this tutorial, starting in line 19 of the code. So first, we need to install and load the ggplot2 package, as you can see in lines 19 and 20 of the code. I have installed the package already, so for that reason I'm just going to load it with line 20 of the code. And then we need to create a data frame object based on our pre-computed values. And we also need to specify a group column which contains a name for our box plot. So after running lines 22 to 27 of the code, this new data frame called data ggplot2a is appearing at the top right. And we can print this data frame to the bottom in the RStudio console. And as you can see, our data frame contains only one row of values, and the column names correspond to our pre-computed values. Now in the next step, starting in line 30 of the code, we can use the ggplot and geom_boxplot functions to create our box plot. And within the aesthetics of our box plot, we need to specify all the column names of the pre-computed values. Now, if you run lines 30 to 37 of the code, you can see at the bottom right that the same box plot is shown once again. However, this time this box plot is displayed in this typical ggplot2 style that you might already know from previous videos. Now, in this second example, I have explained how to create a single box plot based on pre-computed values using the ggplot2 package. However, it's also possible to draw multiple box plots side by side based on pre-computed values, and this is what I want to show you in the next part of this tutorial, starting in line 39 of the code. So as a very first step, we need to create another data frame which contains multiple pre-computed values. And we can do that, as you can see, in lines 39 to 45. So after running these lines of code, another data set called data ggplot2b is created. And we can print this data set to the bottom in the RStudio console by running line 46 of the code. And now you can see that we have created a data frame containing 5 rows. Each of the rows corresponds to a different group, A, B, C, D, and E. And each of the rows contains different pre-computed values for our box plots. Now in the next step, we can use basically the same syntax as before. However, this time we are specifying the fill argument to be equal to our group column. So if you run lines 48 to 56 of the code, you can see that a new graphic is appearing at the bottom right, and this graphic shows 5 different box plots side by side. That's all I wanted to explain in this video. In case you want to learn more on this topic, you may check out my homepage, statisticsglobe.com, because on my homepage I have recently published a tutorial in which I'm explaining the content of this video in some more detail. I will put a link to this tutorial into the description of the video so you can find it there. If you have liked this video or if you have any questions, let me know in the comments section below. I'll try to respond to all comments as soon as I can. Furthermore, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get notified about future video releases. I have already published about 500 videos on this channel and I'm releasing new videos on a daily basis. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.